What's going on, everyone? Welcome to IPL Weekly. I am the coach of the Green Bay Yampers, BigtimeBrownie. Today I am joined by three coaches. We have Richie, the coach of the Granville Goomys, Matt, the coach of the Toledo Team Rockets, and Sahil, the coach of the Milwaukee Mewers and the commissioner of this fine league. Welcome, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing well myself. I'm excited to talk some Pokemon. So there were actually no transactions this week, so we have nothing to talk about in that respect. This week we'll just be recapping the Week 3 matches, and we will be previewing Week 4, and maybe, well, actually that's going to be it. There's nothing else happening in the league. So first on the slate was the match between the Chicago Granvilles versus the Hollywood Hawluchas, and this match was actually vacated due to some showdown technical difficulties, and I guess ended in a draw. I'm still kind of unclear what that means, so I'm glad we have the commissioner today with us so he can sort of discuss what that means for the league and what that means for this season.
Okay, I really don't think it's that confusing. So, essentially, just treat it like there never was a game played. Okay, so basically, should I explain what happened first?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, Akash, Chicago Granvilles coach, and Jared, Hollywood Hawluchas coach, were playing. And basically, they were in the middle of a game. I think they both disconnected. And then they both tried to get back into the game. But Akash, coach of the Granvilles, had not registered his Showdown account. So we figured out there pretty much wasn't any way to get him back into the battle and allow him to actually play it. So it looked like Akash might have been on the verge of gaining some momentum. I think he had a +3 Toxicroak and pretty good health. And it did pretty well against Jared's team. But, I mean, it's hard to say what would have happened. But, yeah, so essentially we couldn't finish the game. And then we just called it a draw because both teams agreed that it would be so hard to replicate the roles and everything that happened in that match. I mean, it's just, it's very hard to replicate all those little things. So they decided a draw was fair, and then I was okay with that. And,
But wouldn't it have been healthier for the league if they just rebattled with potentially different sets and different mons or whatever? Just give them a day.
I mean, I gave them that option. They seem
you're
to
the
be fine with the
commissioner.
draw.
You have the final say.
Okay, everyone seemed to be fine with the draw. You're the only one that seems to be hung up on this idea, because I guess I get it affects like the stats and it would be harder for the Hawluchas and the Granvilles to get an MVP consideration and all that. But I think overall it's fine.
All right, fair enough.
I do feel like if you did try to just replay the game, the mind games involved in, basing your decision off of what they decided last time you were in this position, it's very hairy.
That's why I suggested was wait a day or two and have they could redo their teams whatever way they like.
But then it's like you're kind of basing your team building process off what they already brought.
Yeah, but you guys are both doing that.
Yeah, but it's just kind of that's not how the games work.
I forgot. Games end in draws, usually.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, you're acting like it'd just be normal if they just replay the game.
Normal. The whole reason we're talking about this is because it's not normal. I just think it would have been nice if we all had 10 games played.
Yeah.
You tell them both that they're going to battle again in a day and that they can do it to their teams, but then message each of them privately and be like, hey, wouldn't it be cool reverse psychology if you just didn't change anything?
Yeah, then you truly
and here's the issue that I have. It's like a draw in sports is usually a just result, right? A draw in sports is based on the performance that happens on the field. Or it's not based on just vacating the match completely. So if you have a team with a record that's 6-3 and ends up being half a game out of the playoffs, it's like, well, what would have happened if we had just replayed that match? That's kind of my perspective. You know what I mean? Because you guys, it's a competitive division.
Well, that's why I told Jared. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, but this happens in actual there's been games that have been forced to end in draws because of cancellations and stuff. I know there's been baseball games that have had that happen. And Sahil, I know you gave them the option of being able to play replay the game at a later date, which is actually I think what happens in the MLB if the standings if the standings come down to this game that ended in a draw because of like it was canceled by rain and they couldn't fit it in anywhere else. Like they just replay it. They play the game later in the season.
Well, so would you be open to the game being replayed later in the season?
I mean, I think Sahil left that option open to them, and Jared said, like, yeah, it's fine.
Well, it was my understanding that you didn't want that to you wanted them to make a decision now. But
okay, so this is where it gets kind of interesting because it's like because there are some situations where Jared could be like, hey, let's play this game because it could help me. Right. So he just decides this in week 10. And then,
right, but if you're 5-5 and he's 5-4, then he can decide,
he can just be like, oh, I don't want to play this game. So I was like, if you're gonna play the game, decide now. But
yeah, I mean,
what Matt's saying also kind of makes sense because he's saying it's either way. It's like if it has any real impact, replay the game. That could have worked too. Yeah, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah, maybe like by the time we get to week 8, if that match could still matter, then maybe they have to play it or something like that.
Yeah, we could do that. So it's not the final week of the season.
Yeah, I mean that could make sense too.
I mean, it's just I mean, it's interesting. Like it's not something that we.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a right answer related to this, but yeah, it's unfortunate. But
there is though just a high likelihood that it won't impact the outcome of the overall season.
You think so? I mean, that's 10% of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it can only make a difference if it makes the difference between second and third place in each of those players' division, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty specific outcome.
Right, but I mean, there could be a 3. I mean,
well, yeah, technically there is a first seed prize too, but we don't need to get. I mean, that's
there is.
Yeah, you get an extra free agency token like the week of the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I forgot.
Which only matters if either Nihal or Sahil end up with the first free agency.
yeah, it's true.
Hey, I've only used one token, but I get it. Because last season I kind of went crazy early on.
I mean, but yeah, in my opinion, I think we should be, open to the idea of needing to do something about it later, but I think that just waiting to sort of see if it's going to have an impact or if it's likely to have an impact.
Well, so Richie, you're saying that if it does have an impact, basically it should be played, whether it benefits Jared or not, because that's kind of where I land on.
I vaguely like the idea of having the game played, yeah.
Because if Jared's 2 games out of contention or whatever, then it doesn't end up mattering. Or even if Akash is 2 games. But all right.
I think that is a fair way to look at it. Right. I just don't want it to be a situation in week 10 where we haven't established all that and then it's So I think Richie brings up a good point. We can reevaluate this in week 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is that's why it's good to have the commissioner back on.
It's good we're talking about it now.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the 3 matches that did occur. First up, the first match we're going to talk about that did occur is the Green Bay Yampers versus the Granville Goomys. Richie and the Goomys ended up winning this match 3-0. And I thought it was a pretty interesting match.
It was interesting, and if it weren't for a very lucky critical hit, I think it would have been at least a lot closer. It was a very interesting match. You brought some really, really fun sets. Avila got 4 kills, which was kind of wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so what Richie's referring to is I brought Hale Aurora Veil, Ice Cube. I brought a skill swap Dusclops to get the magic card off of some of his Pokemon. And also Swagger Foul Play Umbreon. So,
yeah, and then was Excadrill set up as well?
Rabombi.
Rabombi and Haxorus were just set up sweepers.
You mean like that Excadrill was also set up sweepers?
Oh, okay, yeah. I found out through this game, just thinking about it, my team generally is a little bit weak to set up sweepers just because it's so slow. Mm-hmm. I did bring a little bit of spice along to this game. I put Regenerator instead of Magic Guard on Reuniclus, which didn't end up mattering, but it was Trick Room Reuniclus, which sort of went off. And then the focus sash on Flapple, which very much could have mattered if it hadn't been poisoned successfully by Poison Jab.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a fun match. So what Richie was referring to the crit was Rabambi was behind an Aurora Veil and +2 Spadef. And Seismitoad ended up getting a Sludge Wave crit, which did, I think, 83%. And it would have done between 12 and 14.
The important thing is it put you 2 hail hits away from death.
Right. It would have done 12 to 14% without a crit. But you know, it's Pokemon. You know, that's kind of it's the game we play. Like obviously for me it sucks. It sucks in general, but you know, being 0-3 is tough now after this match. But, you know, I think what you said is correct. Like, your team is a little bit susceptible to setup, which is why I went so aggressive with the setup. And I was like, well, if I'm behind an Aurora Veil and I set up, there's really not a whole lot he can do to me.
Yeah. And, I mean, I was threatened by Sigilif when I played against Sigilif. And just things that can do a lot of damage and go fast.
Right. Right. And, like, so for me, like, I was able to run just Adamant, not fully invested Haxorus and Excadrill and Swords Dance instead of Dragon Dance and whatnot. So,
although one way you could counter that, Richie, is you could run Unaware on Clefable 1 week if you're afraid of something specific. But I mean, that is a lot to give up with the Magic Guard.
But for me, 2 of my set of sweepers were Mold Breaker, which is intentional.
Okay.
So that gets rid of the Unaware. But yeah,
no, I mean, I think Nihal, most of your, I think in some shape or way or form, is that an expression? Some way, shape, way, shape, or form.
That's the order that those words go.
It doesn't really matter though. I mean, they're all. You could say form, shape, or way. Form, way, or shape. But I think all of your kind of risks sort of panned out. I mean, you got the kill onto the Uniclus with the Swagger. I mean, the Aurora Veil allowed you to do your Quiver Dance with your Rabombi, and Ice Face allowed you to scout with Ice Cube. I mean, so I think all those things worked.
Well, I could have managed Ice Cube better. Like, it's Ice Face, because really you can get 2 hits. You can get 2 hits off. Yeah, you can take 2 hits with the Ice Face. If you take the hit on the first turn, get the hail up, and then when the hail goes up, you get a new Ice Face. But on the next turn, you outspeed or whatnot. So, it's I don't know. It works in OU. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, it didn't seem like that risky, right? Like, there was not really too many other directions I thought I could go. Like, Sand was pretty useless against you. You have 2 Magic Guard Pokemon, and I outspeed you anyway. So, you know.
I did. I played a little bit of the rock paper scissors this game where I didn't run any heavy duty boots this game, and I took Magic Guard off of one of my Pokemon.
Right.
I basically just figured, like, okay, well, you know that hazards and passive damage aren't going to do that much.
Right.
So you're probably not going to run as much of it. So, of course, if you had anticipated me taking heavy duty boots off my Pokemon, maybe you would have brought hazards of some kind. But
right.
That's a game of rock paper scissors that I'm going to probably be playing a lot of these weeks.
For sure. Yeah, it was a good match. Like, there's not really much else for me to say. Matt, do you have any thoughts on the match?
I mean, I think you guys have pretty much covered it. We'll kind of see a running theme as we go along that, I mean, we've kind of all talked about this a little bit before, but the ice types, Avalog here, obviously, like, this thing, I mean, in previous generations, it was purely, like, defensive, like it spun and set up hazards, and that's pretty much all it did. But it had a lot of, it was picking up a lot of kills, and it's been probably one of the better Pokemon for Richie's team so far, which I think has been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my defense against setup sweepers is taking 52% damage from a three times attack earthquake from
+4. Yeah,
Haxorus.
That was insane. That was insane. I expected that to do a lot more. And then, like, at the end, I didn't think Ironhead had a chance to kill, but apparently it did. Well, so would Excadrill have won?
I didn't do the calc on Excadrill v Duraludon.
Well, you were at 82% with. I don't even know if Iron had. Were you defensive or Spadef? With. I guess it doesn't matter. I don't want to know.
I think foolishly I was Spadef, but.
Okay. That's not foolish. I mean, I had Rabambi and.
Yeah, that's true.
Now,
yeah,
Richie,
you did have a. Yes.
So your Clefable, I mean, that's your tier 1, correct? Like your 180 point mon. I noticed like it hasn't really hit the field that much in these past 2 weeks. I mean, do you think that's just kind of sort of the way the game's been, or do you want to incorporate it more better into future weeks?
I think I would like to incorporate it a little more. I think it's also, I think people are doing a good job bringing checks to it. Mm-hmm. It's just often not correct to switch into it or leave it out just because people are packing coverage or, in this case, an Excadrill or I just think that people are compensating for it. Right. I still think it's good to have around, or as a potential, as a cleric. Yeah, skill swap. That was really amazing. I was like so proud that I switched into Toxic. Sure, poison my Clefable. It doesn't matter. It doesn't take damage from it. No, I didn't see since it didn't take toxic damage the first turn. This is a question, honestly, just about how Magic Guard works. When it lost that skill, did it take the second turn's toxic damage?
Let me look. While I'm looking for that, I was gonna say something else that so I skill swapped and it did 12%. Yeah
so, and you can see that on the showdown thing. It'll say like when you have something out and you hover over it, it'll say this turn, right. Like if Magic Guard is removed, it will take this much damage next turn.
That's very interesting. So if a Pokemon with Magic Guard has been toxic for 10 turns,
yeah,
or 20 turns, and then but it's still out, and then someone skill swaps it, it'll die.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe I should have thought about that. I
just let me hang out with your Dusclops for a long time.
Right, exactly. Because I was behind an Aurora Veil. There wasn't much you were doing to me.
Yeah, and I don't think I would have.
Yeah, there's no way you would have seen that coming. So. But something I will say is that I really am very happy with the transactions I made. Like I just think like Umbreon is really nice for my team and like can Wish Pass, and I think Haxorus is really hard to, unless you have an Avalugg apparently, it's really hard to deal with. And even Rabambi is, I mean, Quiver Dance is Quiver Dance. And it has decent stats, so like, yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. Well, hopefully it pays off moving forward. When I played Matt. Speaking of Matt, okay, wait, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Rabambi very well could have swept, especially because of the hustle on Flapple. Like, even though I had a focus sash, like decent chance I just miss and then you sweep. So.
Yeah, and I mean I still did have like 5 turns of Aurora Veil, so it would have been tough to do much to me back.
Yeah,
but. You know what? It is what it is. Hopefully I get some hacks. Okay, something I will say, though, is I feel like I am just, like, in a rut when it comes to hacks. Like, some of you guys saw my final with the Hydreigon and the Earth Power, or the Ice Beam from the Toxapex or whatever. It's hacks. That's all I'm going to say. And the other thing is, like, when you're in Richie's situation, it feels shitty, too, because you're like, well, you could have very well won without it, but now if you will not.
I don't know if it was really. I don't know if I can feel like I earned it.
Which you did though. I mean, you definitely did. You won 3-0, and that's that's the game we play. All right, back to the transition. Speaking of that, the next match we're going to be talking about is the Toledo Team Rockets taking on the Bayern Munchlax, and contrary to what... Actually, wait, I predicted this. I did.
You did.
I did predict... Did I get the score right?
I think you might have said actually 2-0.
I think,
Or maybe
I think I did.
you didn't.
But
We'll have to check back. I think that's right, actually.
yeah, so the Toledo Team Rockets take down the juggernaut that is the Bayern Munchlax with a 2-0 victory. Some quick highlights from this match. Beartick ends up getting 3 kills. Necrozma with 2 kills, keeping on its kill streak. And just overall, very well played by Matt. And it really should have been a 6-0 victory for Matt. So, Matt, I'll turn it over to you. Why don't you talk about the match?
So really the big thing that kind of, turned this whole game on its head was I had Necrozma out early, and I kept bluffing like I wasn't trying to set up, and the only reason I didn't really try to set up is because I know Hippowdon has Roar, so it could pretty much just stop me from setting up at any time. And I think that Steven felt safe switching in Corviknight because Photon Geyser doesn't really do that much to Corviknight. And then Steven made the mistake, and then when he had Corviknight in front of Necrozma, then I decided that it was time to start setting up since he couldn't pour me out at that point. And that's when he decided to try and pivot out to get into something better, and I taught him, and he U-turned, which activated Weakness Policy.
Yes.
Which obviously swung the game around to an insane degree. It immediately then went on to kill Obstagoon with Brick Break, which I ran specifically just for that. I literally, even though I was literally modest, but it didn't matter because Weakness Policy, of course, doubles both attacking stats. So it was just, and then I had enough speed to that after +2, I was fast enough to outspeed non-scarfed Dragapult, which obviously would outspeed everything else. He did manage to survive just barely by the skin of his teeth with the Centiscorch, which was kind of funny, and I knew that had a possibility of happening, but I figured might as well go for it. And then then the Beartick plays after that. It was really, you could kind of almost tell just based looking at the team comp that that was kind of where it was going. It was just kind of me biding my time, setting up to find the optimal opportunity to get Beartick in under Hail and behind Aurora Veil. A couple other things. That's really kind of the big things that happened. Obviously, Beartick just kind of ran through what was left of his team at that point.
Right. Well, so you just, sorry, not to cut you off, but you just mentioned
No, go ahead.
Taking the optimal opportunity, and you baited out the Draco Meteor with your Toxtricity, which allowed you to set up. Was that on purpose?
It was actually, and I had in case he was gonna try it, because I didn't, I wasn't sure that he was gonna try and just he could have been Scarf or whatever. Actually, I don't think I saw Scarf, but anyways, he could have been, if he hadn't been a spec set or anything like that. Toxtricity was ready with Snarl, which is what the move that I clicked in case he tried some other funny business. Which it actually does between Punk Rock and being super effective. Actually does it does 60 to 80%.
Oh, Snarl's a sound based move. Oh, that makes sense actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I did want to kind of make sure that he couldn't just freely Draco around things. Right. So I had that and locked him into Draco.
Right.
And then was able to set up from there.
Once he's -2, you're able to come in and get the Aurora Veil. Yeah. Very well played. Beartick, we were sort of talking about it after we recorded last week about how Beartick sort of went in. And it did. That's exactly what it did. And it's just another, I feel like I say it every week, but it's just another great thing about this format is that a Pokemon like Beartick is able to go off and take down a team with Corviknight and Dragapult.
So, did you say on that initial, did you think that was when the Weakness Policy was going to pop on that initial U-turn by Corviknight?
When I was playing in the team or when I was actually playing?
Either.
So when I was playing the team, I wasn't really sure. He has enough, he had enough health to be able to survive, knockoff from Obstagoon or Shadow Ball from Dragapult. Not super well. He probably wouldn't have been able to do much more than kill one thing after that. But I was predicting that Steven would once we were in there and it was Corviknight versus Necrozma. I predicted that he was going to try and pivot out,
Right.
with U-turn. So that's why I decided to go for the automized, because otherwise I would have just gone for like, I think I had heat wave on this one. So
Yeah,
that was what I was trying to do, like just trying to put it in front of things that were like
right.
gonna have to attack it that way.
Right.
Photon Geyser, I mean, it did 50% to a Hippowdon. So, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what Hippowdon's investment was. I didn't ask Steven afterwards. Although it was really funny. I told Steven about this afterwards, but no one actually noticed. Last minute, I switched. I think I had Thunderbolt on Silvally and wanted to switch it last minute to Thunder Fang, and instead of that, I switched Parting Shot to Thunder Fang. So I had no Parting Shot.
You had
and
Thunderbolt and
Thunder Fang. Which is why, if you guys noticed, like turn 2, instead of Parting Shotting out on Hippowdon, I just pulled like a regular switch.
Makes sense. Well, yeah, the Krozma continues to do the most work.
Well, it only achieved official the most work status this week, right?
True.
Obstagoon was in first before this week.
That is
It
true.
was.
That's true.
but yes,
no,
last season it did the most, and this
Week
season
1
it
it just
was
had
doing
like an
worse.
MVP hangover type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
then it got back into the swing of things week 2.
It had to get some carbs, i.e. a 6-0.
Yeah. Well, it's something I found out, this week while prepping is Prism Armor ignores Mold Breaker, which is fun. So.
Yeah, it's really funny. Prism Armor ignores Mold Breaker, and then it also like ignores other thing, like it ignores the other moves that are like Mold Breaker E, like
The whole point of Mold Breaker is that it ignores abilities.
Yeah,
It's annoying.
It's hilarious
You know that there's going to be an ability soon that's just Mold Breaker that can't be ignored by other abilities.
It's funny because
How deep does it fucking go?
it also applies to like Moongeist Beam, Sunset Strike, and Photon Geyser, all abilities except for Prism Armor. And it's really funny because if you look, there's even a whole page on like the Bulbapedia site called Ignorable Abilities, specifically because you can't ignore Prism Armor.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you skill swap.
Yeah.
True. Skill swap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was just sort of like, an act, or if you were as pessimistic as you were going into this week. But I mean, why don't you, I hate when journalists ask the question, like, why don't you talk about this? It's not really a question, but why don't you talk about your sort of thought process, your mentality going in and playing Steven, and, it seems like a lot of people, when they play Steven, they do tend to overthink things, but you sort of just played your game. Was that something that you were consciously thinking about, like during the battle you're playing Steven, or you're able just to sort of push that aside? It turned into a question. I got it to the point where it was a question.
So one of the things about this kind of like, I mean, I've always, for a while, I've had like, obviously with Necrozma last year, I was pretty offensive player, but kind of like so far this season, I've kind of taken that like kind of to a whole nother level. Not really using like ton of pivoting out, like very much allowing things to like just be stacked off to bring in something else. So one of that kind of allows me to do is to just like not have to overthink things. Like I'll just like continue, like I'll have something out and just continue like attacking what's in front of me until it dies, and then I'll just continue, like try and work to bring in the next thing that's going to do the exact same thing, set up and then attack things until it dies. So I think that style has helped to not let me overthink things too much. There are some, like, I mean, obviously, like I said, there's some like times when I like kind of made some reads that ended up working out in my favor that might not, the next time that I, am playing a game, but definitely like the more offensive style seems to suit me. Yeah.
I think the lesson here is, unless it's stab, just don't hit Necrozma with a super effective move. just use your stab that's just neutral. No, I'm joking, but I feel like it's you and Jared and Richie, all three of you, like, have really been battling well this season. And, I mean, that's fantastic for the league. And it feels like it really is anybody's game at this point. So, going forward, that's very, very exciting. Finally, we have our last match of the week, which did include, I was about to say Jared, but Sahil, who's sitting next to me. The Milwaukee Mewers took on the London Lanterns and ended up with a 1-0, right? Yeah, 1-0 victory. No changes. I think we all picked, Richie, Matt, and I were all on the pod last week, and we all picked the Lanterns to win. But Sahil, somehow ends up winning this match, even though it felt like you were on the back foot the entire time. So
I don't know about the entire time, but I'd say once I set up with Flygon, I kind of felt pretty good about how things were going. But yeah, okay. I mean, I just made some really boneheaded plays at the beginning. I just kind of lost my Scrafty and Toxapex for nothing. Maybe Scrafty was a little bit more forgivable since I didn't know it was running Dazzling Gleam, I guess. But then Toxapex I literally threw out there for no reason. I forgot.
And then it just got one hit killed.
Yeah, they literally got, because I was thinking about all the variety of moves Sigilyph can run, but it just use Psychic and then just kill me. And I was like, oh right, that's the thing. But yeah, I think I definitely think this could have been worse. It felt like, usually you pay for those kind of mistakes early in the battle. I think a key point early on was when he kind of was made a kind of an unnecessary double switch from Milotic into Drapion, and I just Moon Blasted twice in a row, which took a lot of damage. And then I got the right. At one point in the battle, he brought out Lucario, and then I brought out Flygon. And I didn't EQ, I went for a Dragon Dance, and he went into his Milotic, and then I was at +1, and then I think I knocked out 2 Pokemon with Flygon, and then I kind of got it back on even terms. It was a very interesting game. I mean, I think,
really, it came down to that one turn you're talking about where you decided to Dragon Dance, and he switched out. And I was very surprised that he switched out his Lucario, but I think he wanted to preserve his Vacuum Wave for Darmanitan. So I think that was probably the thought process there. And there was like a lot of different things that could have happened. Like Darmanitan would have eventually killed itself, so he could have had, Lucario in to Vacuum Wave whatever the last Pokemon was. But yeah, once you D-danced, you won essentially. So that was a great play on your part.
Right. I know I did get a favorable roll at the end. Yeah, I did get a favorable roll at the end. I believe it was like a 30% chance for a Thunderbolt to kill from that range to Sigilyph with Gardevoir, even though I was modest. So that's that. I thought Gardevoir did play a pretty positive role for me in this game, though. I mean, I'm not. He might have prepared for it differently. I don't know if he thought I had Thunderbolt, but yeah, I mean, Gardevoir got off those Moon Blasts, got the Thunderbolt. I think got.
I was so surprised that Thunderbolt took out the Sigilyph. I was even more surprised that on the second to last turn or third to last turn, Darmanitan lived a Vacuum Wave from 45%.
Yeah, that is.
That was.
I mean, that's that Darmanitan's 105 base HP. It can kind of take some hits to some extent, and that definitely helped. I think it also helped that I got some investment in there because I didn't need to outspeed a lot of things in HP.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole time I was preparing for this game, I was watching. I was thinking about Zeraora, and I mean, I know. Even some conversations we had, you were like, you got to worry about Zeraora, you don't have much for it. But Zeraora really did not even touch the field. And it literally didn't, except for when he sacrificed it on my Flygon setting up, which is interesting how that works.
Well, I mean, I think one of the mistakes that Dion made was using Sigilyph as his primary revenge killer every time instead of, using Zeraora. But because Zeraora doesn't allow Flygon to set up with the play rough. I mean, I guess it could. Do you live a play rough? I don't know. You must have calced it.
Sorry, does what live a play rough?
Do you live a play rough? Did your Flygon? Not you specifically, but did Flygon live a play rough?
No, it did not.
Yeah.
Sahil doesn't ever play rough.
You would be surprised.
I wish Zero would break into my home and play rough with me. I would die in one hit.
I think we all
the other side of the Pokemon community.
But yeah, I felt like he didn't. Zero probably should have hit the field earlier because realistically he basically had a move that could have. I assume he had a move that could have hit every Pokemon that you had. But I mean, he didn't, and you won. I thought it was a sloppy battle all around. Which is sometimes that's how it is, and you were able to pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for not making any exceptional plays and making 2 mistakes at the beginning, I feel pretty lucky to come out with a win.
You literally just were like, "Here, have my Toxapex," and you ended up winning.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that somehow helped me in some way. Maybe if I had Toxapex
he would have set
later,
up.
I would have used it wrong or something.
Yeah, he could have set up
Or
on it.
set up on it.
You sacrificed your Toxapex for no reason, and then you woke up. You're like, oh wait, crap! I have to play this battle.
Yeah.
I honestly, I can say, guys, I don't think I've ever been more shocked that a match turned out like the way it did after the first 5-6 turns of a match. I was like, because Steve and I were talking and we're like, oh, it's over. And then I was like, wait, if he Dragon Dances here and he switches out, Flygon could basically win. And that's what ended up happening. And then we were like, once Flygon's gone, oh, it's over. And then you freaking one-shot the single lift with Thunderbolt. Yeah. Which, God of War, man.
Yeah, it was a free agency pickup. Well, yeah, but it's played all 3 weeks. But
yeah, before week 1. It was a free agency pickup.
Yeah, it's a good
Pokemon.
You can do a couple things with it, which was a little faster, but yeah, I mean, it was able to tank that hit at the end, which is what I put most of my investment in, just HP, and it did pretty well. And it tanked some other hits too, I think one other hit, yeah, and then I got the leftovers recovery. If I didn't have the leftovers recovery, I would have died at the last Shadow Ball. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to. I think I didn't make any free agency acquisitions this week, but yeah, I brought the same 6 Pokemon every week, and they're happen to be my top 6 Pokemon, so maybe that has to change, but...
well, you got an hour and a half to make any changes. But, sorry, was someone going to say something? No? Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're 2-1, which is where you want to be. Like, you're tied for second place. You are 4 differential down, and you don't have the conference victory yet. But I mean, you're in a good position right now. So you should feel good about where the season is.
Yeah, I mean, just try to take it one game at a time.
Especially since really both of your victories you could have easily lost.
Okay, I don't agree with the first one. I could have easily won the first one too.
Well, you did win.
Well, yeah. So then, how could I?
But it wasn't easily.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of the games in this league are not easily won.
Talk to Matt. Ask Matt.
Listen, my games either end in gigantic victories for me or just complete implosion by turn 5. So.
What do you mean? You won last week. This week wasn't a gigantic victory nor an implosion. I
mean, it was very close to being a gigantic victory.
That's
it was very close to so by Necrozma again. That's true. And then Jared's was pretty much I fell apart by turn 5 because of that subs calm mindset.
But yeah, that was a good set. All right, so after week 1 in the Kanto Conference, every team is above 500. The Granville Goomys are in first place with a 3-0 record. The only undefeated team left in the Kanto Conference, the Miami Dolphins, have not popped the champagne just yet. He is currently 3-0 with a 1-0 conference record at +6. The Bayern Munchlax are in second place with a 2-1 record and a 1-0 conference record with a +3 differential. The Milwaukee Mewers also have a 2-1 record, but are 0-1 in the conference, which means that they are in third place behind the Bayern Munchlax and also have a -1 differential. And the Hollywood Hawluchas are in fourth place with a 1-1 record because of the vacated match, with an 0-1 conference record and a neutral differential. Going over to the Galar Conference, we finally have a team with a positive differential in that division, with the Toledo Team Rockets being 2-1, leading the way with a 1-0 conference record and a +6 differential. The London Lanterns are in second place with a 1-2 record, also 1-0 in the conference with a 0 differential. And the Yampers and the Granvilles are in the bottom, being 0-3 and 0-2. Respectively. So, guys, looking at the standings, what are some surprises? Where do the teams at the bottom need to go from here? And do you see, well, I guess you guys are here, but do you guys see yourselves sustaining, this first place position going throughout the season? I know I'm putting, I'm putting you on the spot there, but.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it is going to be difficult to sustain. I think we've had two inter-division weeks so far, and only one game actually within our division. Mm-hmm. And the Kanto Conference looks very stacked. So, and I've only played one of those 6 games, so. I'm gonna do my best, but we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, what's happened essentially, with the exception of Matt beating Steven, is that the Kanto Conference has beat up on the Galar Conference. I mean, and then there was also that tie. But yeah, besides that, it's been all Kanto wins, which has made for competitive conferences in both conferences, because the Kanto have won their out-of-conference games and the Galar teams have not.
Yeah, so, it's, like you said, the Kanto Conference has sort of beat up, but as Richie alluded to, 5 out of the next 7 matches, of the final 7 matches, are all within the conference, so we are going to have some really interesting and pivotal matchups coming up in the coming weeks. Looking at the bottom of the conferences, you look at the Kanto Conference, and you have Sahil and Jared, and it's kind of like, well, they're at the bottom, but you feel like they're right. They are right there.
Right.
And one victory for Sahil this week, and he's in second place. So, it's. Wait, who do you play? Sahil? Steven? Okay.
Yeah, Steven.
Yeah, Steven. Exactly. So you would be in second place. Yeah. So it's really competitive. Matt, I don't know if you want to jump in and talk about like where your mindset is being in first place right now.
I mean, my playstyle is very much to the point where like it could very well continue on, but I could also like I think there was one season when I like started off the year 5-0 and then like lost like 5 of my next 6 matches. That was I think season 2. That was U-turn team. As far as the conference goes, I mean, we'll see how this game between Michal and I this week goes. Dion is always like a threat. I think Akash was. I mean, he was looking like he was going to pick up he had a very good chance of picking up a victory this week. I think he could maybe do for like mixing up his like the teams that he brings a little bit more.
Yeah. He brought Noctowl.
He did bring the Noctowl.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Hypnosis missed though.
He seems to be, kind of shooting for more of like a hyper offensive play style, kind of like the way that I play. But he's kind of a lot of his things don't necessarily like they're just kind of all individually setting up and then starting to hit things. So he could do with maybe a little bit more like of a cohesive game plan.
Yeah.
But like I mean maybe a little bit team reorganization, but like he still has some threats there. Right. That like I said, he was very close to becoming like legitimately dangerous in this last game. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like all 3 weeks, there was definitely a path to victory for me, and I sort of chose the wrong path. I'm 0-3, but I feel like, if I can win this week, I'm in a decent position. I'm only 1 game out of first place at the very least if I win. And that's kind of where I have to go from here. It's going to be tough though. I don't play Akash until week 7, which it's a match. It's not necessarily. I'm not necessarily going to beat him, but it's a match that I feel I should win. So it's like the opposite of Richie. He doesn't play Steven until week 7 and 10. I don't play Akash until week 7 and 10. So I could be 0-6 going into that match, and my season will be over essentially. But I think, I don't know. I think Matt. I mean, we can sort of start talking about the matches coming up this week. We can start with our match. The Green Bay Yampers are taking on the Toledo Team Rockets. I think this is the first match of the season which is truly, truly pivotal. In that, if you go to 3-1 and I go to 0-4, there's some distance there between first and third place. That's 3 games. That's a 3-game lead that you have, and the likelihood of you dropping 3 games like that, and maybe you won't finish in first place, but you definitely can feel good about being in the playoffs. And it's sort of the opposite for me. I'm now chasing only one person, potentially being two games behind. So I think this is the first match for me that has like real playoff implications at the moment, which is crazy to say 4 weeks into the season, but that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, that kind of, I mean, like as far as like our conference goes, that definitely makes sense. It'd be interesting to see, what happens this one. I feel a little bit now that I have beaten Steven and now have that off my back, and then knowing that like both you and Dion still have to play Steven is a little bit comforting, I won't lie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's why you should, especially if you win this week. It seems like, and you still have another match against Akash. Like that's so you should feel good about yourself. But talking about this week, I guess, this is sort of the same situation we ran into last week. There's not a whole lot we can talk about in terms of sets or what we're going to bring. But, we both have, like, super offensive Mons. You have Mons that can be also offensive or defensive. It should be an interesting matchup. I'm not really... Just looking at the Mons themselves, I'm not really certain... what is going to shine this week, because I feel like it could be many different Pokemon.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Even when I was drafting, that I kind of valued, as far as like being like a fair degree of like unpredictable. Like just looking like at my roster, like I mean, Beartic we saw last week. Necrozma has like 8 different setup sets that can run by itself. Sometimes multiple of them at the same time. Cobalion can set up, I don't know if maybe Ninetales can, I don't know. Savali, Toxtricity, Rapidash can set up a Swords Dance. I haven't quite figured out a way to turn Cramorant into a setup sweeper, but if I do, I will let you guys know.
Cramorant has become like an unofficial mascot on my Twitch channel. So if you figure out a way to beat me with it, I'll be very sad.
A Cramorant named Steven, right?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, that was very confusing during the draft.
Oh yeah, because I was like, can we get some Stevens in chat? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is? Oh, it gets. Let's see.
Gets
Wait, is that named after?
It gets it. No, it gets agility and amnesia. So there's something there.
Okay.
Maybe if it was Gen 1 amnesia, then maybe I could work with it.
Yeah, I mean, Cramorant's it's a cool Pokemon.
Gen 1 amnesia.
I found out today that Mew can learn Dragon Dance, and I was sad that I didn't draft it, especially.
Yeah, Mew can learn Dragon Dance. I mean, you can still pick it up if you want it, Sahil.
I'm thinking about it. Mew could make a return to the Mewers this year.
But yeah, why don't we, for me, like, I think, now I feel like my team, I think I am the only person who's brought all 10 of their Pokemon. Is that correct, Sahil?
Are there not 11?
Have you brought Gigalith yet?
Or 11 Pokemon. Yeah, sorry, 11. You're right, Richie. Wait, is it 11 or is it 10? No, it's 10.
It's 10.
Oh,
but he had 11 because he had Tyranitar earlier.
It is 10.
Yeah. So yeah, I've actually brought like 13 Pokemon.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But I do feel like all of my Pokemon are like viable in their own way, and they've kind of shown that. And now I feel like my sets are a little bit more unpredictable than they used to be. I don't know. The Pokemon I had before, it was tougher for me to do that. Or I don't know. I guess I just had worse Pokemon overall.
I'm sure if someone told you, going into the season, you're gonna play you're gonna bring Extra Drill 3 weeks, only get 1 kill, you'd be kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I would be. I mean, Excadrill, it's the conditions have to be right for me to feel comfortable, attacking or setting up. So it's a really good Pokemon.
Yeah,
but,
I had it last season. It's very good. Yeah.
It hasn't been the one that's shined for me. The first week it was Ice Cube, got 4 kills. Last week, Haxorus got 3 kills. So, sometimes that's just the way it goes. So,
True.
We'll see. We'll see Excadrill. He'll 1 week he'll pop off. But the thing about Excadrill, even though it's not getting kills, sand is something that you have to prepare for. So even knowing that you have to counter that is important for me. Like your entire the entire premise of your Gardevoir was just to counter Excadrill. Like that's kind of why you even picked it up.
Yeah, well, not really, but yeah, that was definitely the reason I ran that set that week. Yeah.
So but yeah, Richie and Sahil, if you guys want to jump in on what you guys think about this match, and then we can sort of move to our predictions for this match. Or we can just move to the predictions.
Yeah, we can move to predictions.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be interesting because I don't see any like glaring.
I really feel like this one's gonna be at least like a 3-0 victory in one way or the other. And I feel like, I'm going to go Matt with a 3-0 victory.
He's just trying to play some reverse psychology on me here.
Yeah.
Well, no, I do think, like, one, you are battling much better than I am. And, you have a really balanced team that's hard to prep for. And you do have answers for my Pokemon. So I really, if I was looking at it objectively, I think I would take you in this match. And yeah, I mean, I like last week I was confident that I was confident myself. So I was like, this is gonna be cool. Like I think I can pull out the victory. This week I'm not even necessarily certain what I'm going to do.
I'm just so sad you had to pick up Umbreon, man. Like this game could have been so much fun if you don't just ever.
Dude, I had to pick a true to CrossFit counter.
Nope. You can give it up.
You can brick break me if you want.
Yeah, you had to show that card last week, huh?
Yeah,
I mean,
or X Scissor or whatever. But yeah, Umbreon is really hard to kill. So
I still hate that thing. Ever since what's his name had it in season 2, and it just like walled so many things. I hated it.
Mayo.
Yeah, Mayo. He like God,
oh yeah, he had the.
Because I think he like walled out my Mega Scizor, and I was so annoyed.
He walled out your Mega Scizor?
Yeah, because I had a Swords Dance Mega Scizor set that like literally like broke his entire team, but then like he managed to like survive long enough to just like hit me with a foul play and kill me, and I was so annoyed.
When was it? There was a season. I think I had. This was a season that I had Mega Sableye, and someone, I forget who. I think maybe it was. I forget who had Umbreon then, but Umbreon used Toxic, Magic Bounce, poisoned its.
That was Mayo, yeah.
Yeah, that was Mayo.
Yeah.
That was the play of the week.
That was season 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I put like 14 hours into editing that one.
Yeah, if you want to go see that play again, you can watch IPL Weekly, Season 3, Week 3, yeah.
Yeah. Worked harder on that than anything I ever have in my entire life.
It was really good.
All right, Sahil, Matt, Richie, let's go with your predictions for this one.
See, like, I kind of think Silvally is a really good Pokemon.
It's
it can
great
just give you,
Pokemon.
in this type of league, it's like a mini Arceus. You can just bring in and...
You never know what it's going to do, yeah.
Yeah.
And the multi-attack boost is really nice.
Yeah, Matt, I think Matt is about to go on a tear just in this league in general.
About to.
Well, yes.
He's been on a tear.
Well, yeah. But he's 2-1. So right now his winning streak is... Oh, he's on a 2-game winning streak right now.
Yeah.
Right? But I think he's going to go up to like a 4 or 5 game winning streak. So I'm going to go with Matt. I'm going to go with Matt at 4-0.
Okay. I feel like that's a little bit of retribution for last week, but...
Yeah, I'm going to pick against all of you guys for doubting me.
Well, you can't pick against Matt. You just picked him. So...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
All right, Richie.
You guys are going to draw.
Nihal, I think that if you don't stop Matt, he'll become too powerful and no one will be able to. So I think that you are going to heroically pull out a 1-0.
All right, I like it.
Am I just pulling? Am I making a heel turn now? Like being the villain?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Maybe not so much you, but Necrozma.
You have Necrozma. You're basically Lucidine, Matt.
Fair enough. As far as my prediction, I think it'll be a little bit closer. I think I like my chances in this game. I think it'll be a little bit closer as far as like the actual numbers go, just because Nihal has a little bit more offensive firepower than some of the other teams that I faced, especially like some immediate offensive firepower, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be more like a 1-0, maybe a 2-0 if I get some good reads.
Cool. Yeah, it should be an interesting match. Like I said, very pivotal more so for me than for you, but it's definitely a match that I think all of us will have our eyes on.
Well, there's only 4 games, so it's really not hard to...
Like 2 of us are playing in it. So.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have the Granville Goomys taking on the Hollywood Hawluchas. The Granville Goomys come in, as we said, 3-0. Hollywood Hawluchas 1-1. I'm interested to see what Jared's mental state is after last week, and how he's going to respond this week. Let me pull up the rosters, but
Yeah.
Richie, why don't you talk about your thought process a little bit going into this match?
Yeah, so I haven't really put together my team yet, but just looking at Jared's roster quickly, it seems to me like Seismitoad is going to be a really important asset, and I'm going to have to, I don't know them off the top of my head, but I'm going to have to be really careful about which Pokemon get random grass-type coverage moves. Things look a little worse for Avalugg this time, especially when there's a super effective special attacker in Rotom Heat on Jared's team.
Right.
It can't quite wall everything off as well.
And potentially Aegislash.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Because Aegislash just has excellent stats everywhere.
Yeah.
And we talked about things setting up. My team isn't particularly well equipped to deal with something like a setup Phalanx. So all things that I'll have to think about.
Yeah, we keep on. We say this every time, but this truly is like a fascinating matchup. I feel like Avalugg, like you said, Avalugg has been such a stalwart for you, but
it's been overperforming, definitely.
I don't know if I want to say that, but it's been performing very well. I feel like some of your other. I think Clefable is going to really have to do some stuff this week, whether it's be a cleric or get some kills. It's going to, if it comes, it's going to, because it outside of Aegislash, Clefable does a decent job against this team.
Definitely, it really does. There's not a lot that I feel like can.
Yeah,
one shot it there without it, getting hit back. Yeah,
and I feel like it just comes down to how well you can stop Jared's setup whenever it comes.
Trying to prevent Primarina from being able to set up the necessary, Grimmsnarl from setting up the necessary screens will probably be important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, any other thoughts about this match?
I think one interesting thing that could come into play is that normally Aegislash, because of its speed tier, can kind of come in and it takes a hit before it switches to blade mode, and then attacks. But with how low Richie's speed is almost entirely across the board, I think that it opens up some like some things where if Jared runs like more speed, then like he won't have that ability to tank the hits, but he will be like attacking first.
True.
Once he actually does start hitting, which I think is interesting. Like I know when I run Aegislash in the ladder, like if I run something with like max speed, it sometimes surprises people. You expect it to be like a little bit slower.
Right.
But yeah, I think other than that, like we touched on the good points, like I think Clefable could play a big role. I think I agree. I will also have to look up to see which random things get grass coverage because
Espeon does.
at least so I can predict.
Energy Ball? No.
I think I might get energy. Psychic types like randomly get energy ball.
I mean, one thing to consider is, I think to consider that, Richie, have we seen any set up moves by you this season?
No, I haven't really done much in the way of setting up.
And they're definitely. We're actually talking about your game right now. So
hi, Jared. We are talking about our predictions for the matchup between you and I.
Oh boy, what did you say? Did you say you think you're going to win, or
we haven't gotten
We
get trounced?
haven't gotten there. We were just talking some strategy, and then you came in here and started yelling.
I was personally interested in where your mental state was after last week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's good. I think I was about to get boomed by that toxic road, and if it weren't for Cash using some back alley account, he probably would have like a 4-0 or something. But luckily, this bootleg showdown account wasn't able to take me down. Thank God for bad internet.
Now, who did both of your internets go out somehow, or did the server blip, or what happened?
Yeah, I think the server must have blipped because both of us disconnected on the same turn.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know why I would have disconnected, but again, my account has existed for years. You know,
Akash, I know for a fact Akash has had that account for years. So like he's never registered.
Yeah, he uses that account and he just like will continually just like at the change name thing, like choose name, he just types it in manually every single time.
Yeah,
we just types in the same numbers every time and everything.
Yup.
I can't believe he just ignored all those messages whenever you win a game and it says like, "Hey, please register this account." He just ignored it.
He didn't want the man looking over his shoulder. Yeah, he'd be tracking his stats.
Maybe he didn't know what that remember like because you see Pikachu at the beginning and it's like, what is this Pokemon? To make sure you're not a bot. Maybe he didn't know what Pikachu was, and so he just never could.
Oh my
Who's that Pokemon? And he goes, I don't know, like
Jigglypuff from above.
You know, honestly, that's very gatekeeping-esque of the Showdown community. Let new players learn.
Let players learn.
Are you ever searching Pokemon into a Google search if you don't know what Pikachu is?
You might.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, so going back to this match, I was really, I invited Jared on, for a second, and you're welcome to stay, Jared, but because I really wanted to know where you were at after that match, and like, especially, starting off so strong in week 1, and then a heartbreaking victory in week 2, and then last week, you don't even know what it means. So
I'm right down the middle, baby. 1-1-1.
Yeah,
1. You don't know what to expect from me. Am I going to throw?
I mean, yeah, I do feel like if I lose this week, suddenly the whole division becomes like very even and very interesting.
Like a massive toss up.
Yeah,
which is really really a fun idea, but not one that I want to entertain.
So let's go on to our predictions for this match. I'll start it off. I honestly, I don't know. I keep on going back and forth. Oh man. I think I'm gonna go. Shit, I don't know. I think
She's a side coward.
I mean, the only yeah. I already picked Matt to beat me, Jared. I think. Well, I started off and I was like, I think Jared's gonna win, but now I'm sort of coming out to the other side. I think Richie's gonna plot a 1-0 victory, but I think Aegislash is gonna get 5 kills. So
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's your top mons don't match up well against that, huh?
Not quite. No.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Jared's like, oh, now I can start building my team. And I picked up on that one.
Great. Now you reveal that you're going to bring Aegislash. Yeah. God, Jared.
What? I mean, I'm running Vespiquen Swoobat on the Tom Pass. It's play.
That's illegal.
You don't know.
But Tom Pass is illegal.
You don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jared 3-0 on this one.
Whoa.
But I
Wow.
think...
Are you going to qualify your statement?
Yeah, I'm going to qualify my statement. Because I think if Richie hasn't used setup this week, but I think he does, and you don't feel free not to comment on this at all, either. Mm-hmm. Richie hasn't used setup at all, but I feel like he does have potential in both Reuniclus and Clefable specifically to do some interesting stuff. And I feel like if he doesn't get those kind of good opportunities, if the game is just played, I hit you, you hit me back, Hollywood's going to win. But I think if Richie does bring something like that up his sleeve, then he I can see him winning too. But I mean, this might be certainly the biggest match in Goomys history. I mean, if you go 4-0, Richie's got to feel on top of the world. But I mean, I know Beach City is mad they relocated, but they have to be happy for their coach.
No, you're right.
They have to be happy for their fellow coach.
IPL Films might be doing a special about this match one day. All right, Matt. What do you think?
I think it'll be Jared in a 2-0. I just looking at these matchups. I really like Aegislash in this matchup. Mm-hmm. I think that Jared doesn't have a super fast team, but I think that also might play to his advantage a little bit because. He does have a little bit more bulk than some of the other teams that Richie's played, except for Sahil, who just throws his Toxapex out in ways to kill it immediately.
Roast him.
But we literally talked about it, and Nihal you point out how Necrozma is the Pokemon that does the most. Toxapex has done the least in this so far this season.
Okay.
Sahil just throws it out and lets it die.
It had the game-winning kill in week 1. I will let you know that Baneful Bunker was key. My Regenerator stall won the game for me. It prevented the Ice Cube sweep. But yes, my wall core, my strategy has been kind of underwhelming, which was kind of my whole... It's not really good for your 360 of your points to be underwhelming, but I've been waiting to work, so...
Right, we're talking about the Hollywood Hawluchas versus the Granville Goomys.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the Live series.
But I think that the fact that Jared's a little bit less speed, created a little bit less speed for a little bit more bulk might help him in this matchup against Richie, since Richie has somehow even less speed.
Oh my god, I remember looking at Richie's team and going the fastest Mon is Duraludon.
Yeah, it is. 85.
Drifblim. Is Drifblim faster?
A building is the fastest Mon on his team.
After Unburden, maybe.
Yeah, after Unburden, yeah. And outspeeds. Look, who needs speed when you have Avalok body pressing literally everything?
By the way, did Duraludon even hit the field last week?
Duraludon did not hit the field.
It didn't. No. All right, so Richie, what's your prediction?
Yeah. I think that in a vacuum I would lose this in a 2-0, but I think that flustered from last week's frustrating draw, Jared is gonna bring Frisk Grimmsnarl or some shit, and he's gonna lose in a 2-0.
We all know Jared is a very emotional battler.
And if my Pokemon don't believe in me, then how can I believe in myself?
But he channeled it in the right way in season 1.
Yeah, he did.
See, Kyle was an even more emotional battler.
That's true,
He
yeah.
lost.
Kyle was a high-key emotional
I'll
battler.
never forget when Kyle messaged me after that game and goes, "How the fuck did you make that read?"
No, he said, "Why the fuck did you make that read?" Right? He was like questioning, like that was the wrong play, but it worked out for you.
It was the right play.
That's like every showdown player ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I remember exactly how that play went down. So if you want me to talk about it, I mean, I can.
Just Jared, it's just gonna be thick fat Azumarill again.
Thick fat Azumarill.
Wasn't that actually a matchup between the two of you?
It's gonna be the spiritual sequel to Thick Fat Azumarill.
Spiritual sequel that's synchronized Espeon, and then I just switch it into Hazards. And it's another bad one. Frisk Grimmsnarl will be pretty embarrassing too.
I think that Thick Fat Azumarill was IPL After Dark when like we were just in our apartment, Jared, and just, like, all three of us just sitting there just like talking shit about the entire time.
Jared, what is your prediction for this week?
Yeah, I think flustered by last week's frustrating draw, I'm going to bring Frisk Grimmsnarl. No, I think so.
How do you feel? Well, let's start with that. Like, do you feel confident that you can win this week?
I know Richie brings tricky shit every time. I do amp myself up a little too much before my games against Richie, for sure.
I stress that too. This is like I feel like this is my rivalry in the IPL.
Yeah. He brought you into this league. He's gonna take you out of it.
That's funny.
Oh my god. Yeah. So after I'm done destroying his second stadium in the league,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think just in a vacuum, my team matches up pretty well.
The sea level rose too high in Beach City.
Couldn't handle it. But Granville, there's no ocean is threatening that.
Landlocked as hell.
Landlocked as hell. Oh my god! But I've got those big letters, and you can't stop that.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I do. I feel reasonably good about this matchup, just like Pokemon to Pokemon. But in terms of like how I'm actually going to play it, I'm sure I'm gonna do something embarrassing, and it's just a matter of how well I recover from that.
It all comes down to mentals, man. It all comes down
It's all
to mentals.
mentals. I'm gonna get mental boomed. No, it's we'll see. My vibes aren't great, but I'll try to bring it.
Yes, I really want to see something crazy in this matchup.
Now, Jared, what is your prediction?
We need numbers, Jared.
Numbers.
Oh my god. I think I'm gonna say 2-0 me.
Nice.
That's fair.
Just putting that.
It's totally fair. I don't know why I made that noise.
We have somehow only talked about 2 matches coming up.
Yeah, Jesus.
How long are we recording?
Like an hour and a half.
It's been an hour and 30
It's not even
minutes.
like we didn't even play 4 games last week.
Or we had an extended 20-minute discussion at the beginning on how exactly we're gonna handle this draw. So
That's true. Actually, that would have worked.
I think that was some of the best content we've ever put out. Honestly.
Probably because
All right, so whenever you can hold the commissioner's feet to the fire, it's my journalistic obligation to do that.
Hold power to account.
Yeah, exactly. The next match we're going to talk about is the Chicago Grambles taking on the London Lanterns. The London Lanterns come into this week 1-2, and the Chicago Grambles are 0-2. How do you guys see this one playing? 0-2-1, yeah. Well, okay, so is it going to be and 1? What are we doing, Sahil? You've given me mixed signals on this. All right, we'll save it for after the pod. He has 0 wins, 2 losses, and maybe, whatever. So, yes, how do you guys see this match playing out? Look, I think London's going to win.
Yeah. I I think that's probably largely how we feel on balance. I mean, we did see something of a setup happening at the beginning of the ill-fated Hollywood Hawluchas Chicago game last week. So, I mean,
This is the,
Deion's been playing pretty balanced. So, I think barring some shenanigans, I would guess that Deion will win.
I think if Hitmontop goes down, Kyurem can win, like, on its own. With Freeze Dry and, like, Ice Beam and Earth Power, which, you know, that's not... I'm not really revealing anything. Like, that's the set. So, I...
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. I think, you know, there are definitely... I mean, every week when you have Keldeo and Kyurem, there are paths to victory. It's just, how is Akash going to leverage his Pokemon? And, you know, will we see more Ice types this week? Maybe we'll see Glalie or Glaceon.
I agree with that. I think Kyurem definitely, like, if he plays it right, could be like an absolute like tear. Like, it hits, I think, 7, if I'm counting right, 7 of Deion's 10 Pokemon for super effective damage with one of its like moves under like even just like a spec set. And the ones that it does, like, I think it can't hit whatever the Vikavolt.
It's 8.
Hitmon Vikavolt.
7.
On top and Dusknoir, like, even then it still hits things like incredibly hard.
Right.
So I think that's kind of like how he plays with Kyurem will be like the big decider on like how well he does. But I think Lanterns, especially with Zeraora maybe having a little bit more free reign as opposed to last game where it didn't really do a whole lot. I think that they'll take it, we'll say like 3-0.
Yeah, I think Deion definitely will. After not using Zeraora, as Matt said last week, I think he'll make a point to use it more aggressively. Especially, I mean, it can do a decent amount versus this team, too. So, yeah, I think Deion's had a pretty frustrating start to the season, but I think he can definitely bounce back. I mean, he was 7-3 last season. I definitely think he has the potential to still make a really good season out of this, and I think he's going to start with a win this week against Chicago. I'll go 4-0.
4-0? Okay. Any other predictions, or?
I didn't say numbers, but I mean, I'll say like 3-0 or something.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like Richie said, on balance, we feel like, you know, Akash is going to be the underdog going in every week, but, you know, now he has a registered account, so things might change.
It's a new league.
Maybe that's where hacks come.
Yeah,
Destroy
exactly.
your priors.
Exactly. We just have no record of what he's done anyway.
This battler, we don't know.
And then finally, the Milwaukee Mewers are taking on the Bayer Munchlax. I believe Sahil was the first person to ever beat Steven in the IPL.
I was. Week 2 of Season 1,
Yeah,
I won
he's
1-0.
been milking that ever since then. But the Bayer Munchlax come in at 2-1, as do the Milwaukee Mewers. So, you know, the Bayer Munchlax have the second place kill leader. Obstagoon was 7.
Let's not talk about that.
But I think Obstagoon, you know, against Sahil can do some work, so we'll see.
That thing's gross.
Yeah, I mean, as we've seen, you know, Steven's battling has been slightly shakier than we're used to lately. So
Yeah.
if you can find the cracks in that facade, you know, no Obstagoon puns intended.
Was it actually not intended, or
I just had like war flashbacks when you said that.
then maybe you could, you know, assemble a win.
Look, I think until Steven returns to being absolutely the best battler and the best, like, the person who's playing the best at that moment in time, we should stop acting like it's a lost cause prior to the match.
Yeah.
Like, you can win this battle. It's not like, oh, you know, maybe if we can, you know, maybe if he continues to suck, you can win. No, you can win. Like, you play correctly.
Jared and Sahil, did you listen to last week's recording when we talked about Matt versus Steven?
No.
It was like we were getting ready for Matt's. It was like
Well, excuse
the
me.
energy was so.
I picked Matt to win.
It's grim.
Listen, starting medical school was the biggest mistake Steven ever made, clearly.
His battling's gone downhill since.
Yeah, scouts are asking, does he really care about Pokemon?
I know I do because I'm 3-0.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it is true. Steven, it hasn't felt like Steven has been himself. Like, even I mentioned it last week, even on the ladder, he's been, not himself. So
Even as a friend.
yeah, exactly. But he can flip it on, and this might be the. I mean, also he's also just 2-1 with like a +5 differential. So,
Excuse me.
so
They got swept by Necrozma, the most disgusting mon in the entire game. So
right, so he's still in great position to assert his dominance. But I mean, he's definitely beatable, and like you definitely have Pokemon to deal with his threats as well. Like Darmanitan, I think has a really good matchup against him. I mean, aside from like Hippowdon, but yeah, I mean,
Even Hippowdon can't. I mean, in some, yeah. I mean,
right, but you only get a certain amount of hits with Flare Blades.
That's true, but it's not like a safe switch in by any means. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but I do think that Steven's going to bounce back and end up winning this one 2-0.
Yeah, I'd be interested to like go back in the history books. I wonder if Steven's even lost 2 games in a row. I don't know if that's happened, but yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked at the rosters yet or started building my team, but yeah, we'll
I will say, I think Steven, I think we could see some different mons from Steven this week. I hope we see Surfetched sometime soon, because that is awesome.
bring him.
Yeah. I call my Surfetch Sir Quacks a lot. I think it's a fantastic name, but we'll
Just throwing it out there.
yeah.
I was really sticking with the PG names over here.
Well, at least I nicknamed my Pokemon, Matt.
Okay, I missed one time.
Yeah.
No.
You're right.
Is that all 4 games? Oh no, we didn't even do.
No,
specific
these guys
games.
haven't even predicted yet.
You guys gonna make the same mistake 2 weeks in a row with me, or?
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be. I don't know. It'll be. I think Steven in like a 1-0. I think that Sahil definitely has potential if he pulls some more cheeky setups like he had with the Dragon Dances and Flygon. Obviously, I'm a big fan of that kind of move. But I think that if he does that, and if he kind of pulls something while Steven's trying to be a little bit more conservative, he could definitely poke some pretty big holes, especially like early on in mid game.
Yeah. Especially if he doesn't, just throw a Pokemon away randomly. I think that'll really improve his chances. Richie, Jared, any thoughts on this?
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. I am going to make the same mistake too. I'm going to say that Steven's going to tighten it up and take a 3-0.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, I echo that. I think, I don't know, his team is just spooky.
See, when you say Echo, now I'm getting more flashbacks from yesterday playing Overwatch. But, yeah, no, I honestly, so I really do think you can win this one. But again, like, it sort of comes down to, for me, I do feel like Steven's, like, top mons are a little bit more dynamic in what they can do. But, you do have that disgusting core and Darmanitan, which just hits like a truck, so Yeah. Should be a good one. Any final thoughts on the Week 4 matches?
Sizzlepede gets flash fire.
Yeah, it does get flash fire.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, Senate Scorch.
I'll have to cool it a little bit on just clicking Flare Blitz if that's... Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the Week 4 matches?
Important games.
Yeah.
It's just like all the divisions are interesting, and they will either start to be a bit less interesting or become very, very tight.
Right, yeah. All right, so before we head out, let's quickly go over the kill or fate leaders. In first place, we have Necrozma with 8 kills and 2 deaths. In second place, we have Obstagoon with 7 kills and 2 deaths. In third place, we have a tie between Avalugg and Sigalith. 2 surprising Pokemon, really, to be in the top 4, both with 5 kills. Avalugg has a slightly better differential. Zeraora, Ice-Q, and Darmanitan have 4 kills, and then Beartic, Haxorus, and Primarina each have 3. So 3 ice types, some really surprising Pokemon. Only 2 tier 1 Pokemon in the top 10 kills, which is, that's crazy. We even got a tier 5 in there.
Yeah, I want to throw down the Avalugg rules, and I'm sorry for what I'm about to have to do to it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll go down with a fight, though. It'll get a couple of kills and move on up.
God, I hope not.
I hope I can limit Necrozma to, 5 kills instead of 6.
Don't hurt the iceberg.
But any thoughts on, the kill leaders? Obviously there are surprises like we talked about. Necrozma being in first place, kind of what we expected, even though it didn't get any in week 1. But really some cool, even Obstagoon is cool that it has 7 kills.
Yeah, I'll say with Obstagoon, even though I was personally traumatized by it, and so I'm probably biased, base 95 speed is just no joke.
No, yeah.
And the facade just hits like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And it's faster than most Pokemon in the format.
Right.
Just by virtue of that raw speed, which is surprising considering
Right.
what I was used to in speed tiers back in the day.
I'm just happy they didn't give it extreme speed like its Hoenn counterpart.
Oh gosh.
Because that would have been, or even Belly Drum with that, because that would have been.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's nightmare stuff. Don't say those words. Don't put that evil on us.
Any Pokemon you could see moving into the top 2 or 3 that aren't currently there? I think Darmanitan could get 3 kills this week, and move into the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I could see that. I think
I could see Aegislash.
That's the one, because Aegislash is sitting at 2 kills. That's the one that I could see being at the very towards the top by the end of the season. I guess it could get 6 kills and get to 8. But I
hope not.
I don't
We
see
hope
that
not.
happening this week. All right. Riveting stuff. I think we'll leave it on that
Excellent
note.
radio.
If you guys are interested, make sure you check out the IPL doc in the description below so you guys can keep up with all the stats and what Pokemon is on what team. But with that, we are going to get out of here. Make sure you catch us next week for IPL Weekly. Bye, guys.